The village of Eldoria rested by the sea, a place of simple homes and simpler lives. For weeks a heavy silence had settled, one born of hunger. The fishermen's nets returned empty, day after day. The sea, once generous, now withheld its gifts. Children's laughter faded, replaced by quiet longing. Elders gathered by the fire, faces shadowed with worry, telling stories of better times. Storage huts were nearly bare. Grain and dried fruit dwindled. Neighbors shared what little they had. A potato here, a cup of milk there, but it was never enough. Yet hope lingered, stubborn and persistent. The villagers refused to give up. They mended nets, prepared boats, and gazed out at the endless blue, believing their luck would turn. Each morning before sunrise, fishermen trudged to the shore, hearts heavy but hopeful. They pushed their boats into the waves, casting nets with care, not just for themselves but for the whole village. It was a ritual, a promise. They would not stop trying. The hunger was real, but so was their resolve. Even as the sea remained silent, the villagers' spirit endured. They waited, trusting that kindness would return. The ocean was both cruel and kind. They clung to the hope that kindness would win. Every day the community pulled together, sharing burdens and hope alike. The children watched the horizon, dreaming of full nets and full bellies. The elders whispered prayers to the sea, asking for mercy. The village held its breath, waiting for a sign. Hunger pressed in, but unity held them together. The promise to keep trying was their anchor. In Eldoria, hope was as constant as the tide. The people endured, believing that the sea would answer, and so, they waited. One morning the air felt charged with possibility. Cale and his brother Finn, out on the water, were ready to give up, until Cale spotted a flicker of silver beneath the waves. It wasn't an ordinary fish, it was vast, shimmering, and moved with majestic grace. Larger than their boat. It seemed a creature from legend. Cale, speechless, pointed it out to Finn, who stared in awe. The brothers knew their net was useless against such a giant, but this was the sign they'd prayed for. A miracle in the deep. Without a word, they paddled alongside the great fish, careful not to scare it. They marked its path, knowing this was a task for the whole village. Their exhaustion vanished, replaced by purpose. They were no longer just fishermen, they were messengers of hope. The miracle fish was the answer to their prayers. They hurried back to shore, hearts pounding with excitement. The sea had spoken and they carried its message. The brothers knew the village's fate had changed. This was more than luck, it was a chance to save everyone. They raced to share the news, hope blazing in their eyes. The hunger that haunted Eldoria might finally end. The miracle was real, and it was waiting in the deep. The brothers' discovery would unite the village. The tide was turning. Eldoria's hope was reborn. Cale and Finn burst onto the shore, shouting about the miracle fish. The village gathered, hope flickering in their eyes as the brothers described the creature. Elder Alara called for unity. This is a gift we must earn, together. Fishermen readied ropes and nets. Everyone found a role. A fleet of boats set out, following the brothers' path. In a calm cove, they found the great fish, its scales shining like silver coins. The villagers surrounded it, casting nets not to trap, but to guide. It was a delicate dance, respectful, careful, united. Slowly, they led the fish toward the shallows. On the beach, villagers waded in, pulling ropes with all their strength. The sun set as the fish finally rested on the sand. A cheer erupted. Joy, relief, and gratitude mingled in the air. The miracle was real, and it belonged to everyone. The hunger that haunted them was about to end. The village had achieved the impossible, together. The great fish was their salvation. Eldoria's spirits soared. The sea had answered. The people celebrated, united by hope and effort. The miracle catch would never be forgotten. The great fish stretched across the beach, awe-inspiring and immense. Alara's calm voice brought order. "This fish is for all of us. No one will go hungry." The best cutters stepped forward, approaching the fish with reverence. Under torchlight, the village became a single, coordinated body. Knives flashed, fillets were carried, and tables were set for cleaning and preparation. Children fetched water, eager to help. There was no arguing, only purpose and quiet joy. Everyone found a task, from sharpening knives to sorting herbs. Even the smallest children collected stones for grilling. The work was a dance of cooperation, each person essential. Stories and laughter kept spirits high. The village was more than a group of people. It was a family. The miracle fish was not just food, it was a symbol of unity. Eldoria's bonds grew stronger with every shared effort. The night was filled with gratitude and hope. Together, they transformed hardship into celebration. As the first portions of fish cooked over the fire, the village square filled with the aroma of hope. Elders and children were served first, savoring each bite. The feast was simple: fish, salt, herbs, but it tasted like abundance. Laughter and stories replaced the silence of hunger. The fishermen were hailed as heroes, but insisted the true hero was the village itself. Music and dancing followed, the air alive with renewed energy. The meal nourished more than bodies. It restored spirits. Fear and uncertainty faded, replaced by belonging. The village remembered who they were, a family bound by care and the sea. Under the stars, Eldoria was whole again. The feast was a celebration of survival and unity. The miracle fish had given them more than food, it had given them hope. The feast was only the beginning. The real work was preserving the gift. Women led the way, dividing the fish for drying, smoking, and pickling. Strips were salted and hung to dry in the sun, creating a curtain of sustenance. Smoking huts filled the air with fragrant haze, infusing the fish with rich flavors. Tender belly meat was preserved in oil with herbs, while other parts were pickled or baked into savory cakes. Every day brought a new taste, a new creation. Nothing was wasted. Every piece was cherished. The village became a hive of culinary creativity. Children watched, learning the old ways. The miracle fish would feed them for months. Eldoria's tables overflowed with variety and gratitude. The community's wisdom turned one gift into many blessings. The miracle was preserved in every meal. The villagers honored the fish by using every part. Bones simmered into nourishing broth, warming bodies and souls. Skin was tanned and crafted into bags, sandals, and covers. Scales became shimmering decorations and mosaics telling the story of the miracle. Fish oil lit lamps and healed the sick. Nothing was discarded. Everything found a purpose. The village glowed with gratitude and ingenuity. Even in darkness, the fish's light shone in every home. The miracle fish gave all it had, and the villagers accepted it with thanks. Eldoria's wisdom turned scarcity into abundance. The story of the fish became a lesson in respect and resourcefulness. The village thrived, united by gratitude. The miracle fish fed Eldoria for a month, banishing hunger and restoring peace. Preserved stores filled bellies and storage huts alike. The children's laughter returned, and fishermen sailed with hope. The true gift was unity. Working together had achieved the impossible. Every part of the fish was used, every lesson remembered. The village became mindful, making the most of every resource. Abundance was redefined, not by having much, but by cherishing what they had. The story of the miracle fish became legend, passed down through generations. The mosaic of scales hung in the village center, a shimmering reminder. The tale was about more than a fish. It was about heart and community. In hardship, their greatest resource was each other. Eldoria learned that together, miracles are possible. Seasons passed, but the lessons of the miracle fish endured. The story was told at every festival, guiding new generations. Cooperation became Eldoria's greatest strength. Neighbors helped each other without hesitation, remembering the night of the great catch. Waste not. Want not became a way of life. Ingenuity flourished, nothing was discarded. The village thrived even in lean times by respecting every resource. The miracle fish's legacy was unity, generosity, and wisdom. Eldoria learned that true abundance comes from sharing. The deepest hunger is for community, not just food. The story reminds us, when we help each other, we create miracles. The miracle fish fed more than bodies. It nourished the soul of Eldoria. And so the legend lived on, inspiring all who heard it.